I guest on the podcast this time out is Bad Knees, a three-piece band from Edinburgh who released their debut single this Friday called Something in the Water. I spoke to the band about their early influences and how the band came together. They've only been together as a three-piece since January, so it's been a relatively quick career so far. But we touched on their influences, previous bands, and their live sound and how they've been able to replicate that on record. As I said, the new single is out May the 17th. It'll be on Spotify and all the other streaming platforms, so make sure you check them out. It is an absolute belter of a track. I hope you all enjoy the podcast. Please keep liking, sharing, commenting and subscribing wherever you can, and more importantly, enjoy. This will come if you stay. On the podcast this week, I have a new band called Bad Knees. They have a debut single coming out 17th of May called Something in the Water. I've seen them play a couple of weeks ago at McCool's in Glasgow, and they absolutely smashed it. So I decided to get them on for a little chat. What I like to do at the start of the podcast, if I can just get you to get back to the start, how life was like for the three years growing up as young kids, and how that kind of shaped your influences and kind of started your career path into music.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe it would be good actually if Dave kicked us off, because Matthew and I grew up together, but we only actually met Dave in January, so I think this. I
wasn't sure about that actually.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you two were brothers. I know I kind of.
no brother. Known each other a long time anyway.
Yeah.
Long lost brothers. I'm English.
Right, on you go, Dave.
Yeah, all right. So I think my first experience with music, from what I can remember, was my mum listening to Oasis when I was 4 or 5, and I used to sing. I used to sing the songs wrong. I used to sing the lyrics wrong. I used to think they were singing, "You're gonna be the one at Sainsbury's," and I used to go around singing my head off, singing "You're gonna be the one at Sainsbury's." So that's my earliest musical memory is actually Oasis, and then I think I got to about 10 or 11, and I stole my sister's Nevermind album out of her bedroom.
Right.
And I started having a bit of a listen to that, and I thought that was good. And then my mum had a Nevermind the Bollocks album, so I had to listen to that as well. So that was my first sort of real. That was me delving into music. That's what shaped my taste, I think. And then as I got a little bit older, as I got towards sort of 14, 15, I got into like Linkin Park, Papa Roach, stuff like that, Eminem. And then how far do you want me to go? Up to
now? We'll push on to the other two and see what their kind of story is.
Yeah.
See, I've always been quite lucky when I grew up. I think I was always quite lucky when I grew up in terms of music. My mum and my stepdad had quite different tastes, but it was a great introduction for music for me. So when I was wee, I used to always go into mum's bedroom, and she used to have her CD rack on the wall, and I would just pick out CDs. This was like I'd find Nirvana, again Oasis, and then a couple of bands that kind of really shaped what I like today, music, Green Day albums, etc. And when I found that when I was probably about 8, 9 year old, I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. It's amazing. And then I remember going out, the first time I ever got like pocket money to go and buy CDs on my own. The first album I ever bought on my own was The Killers' Hot Fuss when it first came out. And I feel like my mum always kind of got me into that like indie Britpop scene. All by around at the same time, you had like Hardfi and Kasabian, Kaiser Chiefs all came out at the same time. My mum would like act like, "Oh, I need to listen to this." And then she took me to my first gig when I was 10, and that was the Kaiser Chiefs at Meadowbank in Edinburgh, with The View and the Detective supporting. I don't know, it doesn't get much better than that for my first gig. I think it was class. Yeah, 10-year-old, loving it. And then as I kind of got a wee bit older, I kind of started delving into my stepdad's music collection, his old vinyl records. And that's where I started listening to like David Bowie, Led Zeppelin, The Who, The Jam, the Beatles. And yeah, it's kind of extended my musical kind of what I'm into from that. And then obviously at school I used to play guitar, but I was never very good at it. Kind of got to about 8 9 year old and kind of thought, nah, I'm going to sack this off. And I started learning the cello.
Right.
And then first I go into high school and I play the cello. I'm like, nah, this is carry. I used to live about 2 mile walk from the schools. I used to have to carry the cello 2 miles to school in the morning. I was like, this isn't sustainable, and cello's not very cool. And then kind of thought, what can I play? What can I play that's somewhat the cello but looks a bit cooler and isn't as heavy? And then from then I picked up the bass, and yeah, mum kind of encouraged that as well. Kind of got the bass lessons, and then did that for a few years. Ended up teaching myself guitar off the back of learning bass. And then obviously kind of out of school, there was so many guitarists and stuff, so many people who play any other instrument, but there was never any bassists. So that's how I met Michael. We kind of reached out to start a band. We were what 13, 14 of that.
Yeah, yeah.
And obviously started off playing covers. I think the first cover, what was the first cover we ever tried to do?
And the first cover we ever attempted was very ambitiously was Wolfmother Woman, which was well beyond our skill level. But for some reason we felt as if we could have
It's safe to say that didn't go too well, but I was still, that didn't deter us. We still kept going. But yeah, it's probably that's how I kind of my introduction to music and playing music, etc.
Yeah, I suppose for myself, it's quite similar to both of the guys. Although my parents didn't play any instruments or anything like that when I was younger, I think almost one of the biggest sources of music for me when I was younger was always like listening to music in the car. So I feel like we used to always go on like big long journeys. Like my dad's from Newcastle and I grew up in the Scottish borders. So we're always driving down to like Newcastle, County Durham to go and see family. And that was always where I was exposed to loads of really great albums. I think one of the sort of earliest albums that I listened to was like a punk compilation album. That was one of my dad's favorites. I think it's something along the lines of like the world's greatest punk album ever, or something like that. Like all proper like 80s punk and stuff like that. But we used to listen to loads of different stuff in the car as well, like things that were just totally different to punk. Like we used to listen to a lot of Bob Dylan was like a really popular one in our car. The likes of the Proclaimers as well. As we got a bit older as well, I think the first album that I ever properly fell in love with would have been Green Day, Bullet and a Bible. And I think for me that was the live album as well, yeah. And it got to the point where I knew all the words not only to the songs but to the sort of like crowd patter in between the songs and all that thing as well. And I think that just gave me more of a sense of what music could be as well. Like rather than just studio albums, you could almost feel like you were actually at the venue watching this amazing band, and make more of a performance about it, I suppose, rather than something that's a perfect recording.
Yeah, I mean that's lots of different. See, like between the three years or the kind of influences that you've touched on, there's quite a big kind of melting pot. Obviously, I'm probably closer to the indie stuff, like the View and stuff like that. But you can see where you all kind of meet with the kind of Green Day punk element. That's kind of evident in your music so far, what I've heard anyway. Obviously, you two said about you kind of met at school and you were kind of doing stuff. So, was there any kind of previous bands before the three years came together?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Fish and I met in school. So we both went to People's High School when we were younger. So I think we met each other when we were like 13, 14, that kind of age. And we started a band which was called The Beard of Zoo. And it actually went on right until we were about 18, 19. So as I say, we started off doing a lot of covers and stuff like that, built a bit of confidence and started writing our own stuff. I'd say the really early stuff, raw is probably the way you describe music that isn't very good but ambitious, I guess.
I think the early stuff, there's a lot of like hip hop influence and stuff in it as well. It was a very weird mix, but also when you're like 14, 13, 14, 15, first write music, you just throw everything together. If it sticks, it sticks. We kind of thought that was the way forward, but obviously a good learning curve. But
yeah, absolutely. Like I think it took us a long time to really find our identity. I think when we were younger, we kind of spanned a lot of different genres. And in that band in particular, we were with another guitarist and a drummer. who are both and still are fantastic musicians, but I just think we could never all agree on the kind of songs we wanted to actually play. I think it was more being from the countryside. It was more like, okay, these are all the people we'd want in the band, and it wasn't like you could go find another drummer that had the same influences as you, because it was just you're from such a small place. It's like, that's the drummer you've got, and that's not a slight on him at all. Like, he was a fantastic drummer, but we could just never agree on the kind of the genre we wanted to play, really, I guess.
Right. So how did kind of Dave come into that then?
Well, before we met Dave, there was still quite a big period, actually. So Matthew and I lived up in Aberdeen together. We both studied politics up there. We formed another band, which was almost like an indie folk band, I guess. We sort of had the idea that I wanted to be able to play acoustic guitar and kind of do solo gigs, and that was under the alias Michael James. That eventually sort of grew arms and legs and became a band called Michael James and the Bedheads. We played quite a lot of gigs up in Aberdeen, did like a small Scottish tour as well.
We played with Twin Atlantic in Maximal Park at one point with them as well.
Yeah, we managed to play at the Brewdog AGM as well. So we were backstage with some bands that we didn't really feel we had the right to be to be anywhere near, I guess.
They did that quite a bit at Brewdog, didn't they? My pals, obviously I'm from Wishaw, my pals are the drummer of the La Fontaines.
Oh, he played at my mum's wedding last year.
Jamie.
Aye. He's great.
So they played Brewdog not that long ago, maybe last year or something. So what happened? How did you get paid for that? I'm pretty sure they just came back with hundreds of cases of beer.
Aye, we got given tokens, and then in the green room there's just a fridge full of beer, and like any time there was a beer missing, they would just replenish it. So it was a messy day. Like.
It was pretty ridiculous. Yeah, it was actually very short notice as well. We got a message from the lead singer of Cold Years. That was kind of before they were as big as what they are now, sort of doing a lot of touring around Germany and Europe. They do really well out there, actually. We got a message from Ross, who's the lead singer, saying, we're looking for local bands to come and play at this. Can you come along? So we said, absolutely. So we went along and we played. I don't think we got paid anything, but I think we drank more than they could have given us, to be honest. It was pretty messy. It even got to the point where they were running like shuttle buses from sort of the venue back into town. And I ended up on one of the buses, and I obviously had the acoustic guitar on my back. And the bus is full of people that are completely pissed up, obviously, been on it all day. And ended up getting persuaded to get the guitar out. So I'm singing like just all the sort of crowd pleasers that I can think of. I was playing like Ed Sheeran, Proclaimers, all this stuff on the bus. And everyone's absolutely giving it yaldi. The bus driver's tooting the horn and everything. It was absolutely ridiculous, yeah.
I don't remember much of that day.
That's about one of the only things I remember from that day, I'm afraid to say.
It's funny you saying it, like at that point you were like indie folk and you had acoustic guitar, because obviously I've only ever seen this incarnation of yous, and like an acoustic guitar seems so far away from what yous are.
Yeah, it's acoustic guitars are not something that would really fit in our band that well at the minute, I don't think. It was kind of over lockdown. That was kind of when, at least for myself and Fish, that a lot of the music really stopped. And for myself, actually, even once lockdown kind of ended and things were happening again, it kind of took a while to get back into music. I kind of just got out of the habit of writing much, or I kind of just lost the motivation to go and play live. It did get to the point where I was living in Edinburgh and Fish had not long moved to Edinburgh. So we said, we could maybe just start jamming again, not really with any sort of grand plans.
And this was around about September, October time last year.
Yeah, that's right. And we started writing some songs that were pretty good. So we said, okay, we'll see if we can find the drummer. Dave, maybe you can take it from here, from your perspective, what it was like once we met you.
So it's been terrible ever since, actually. It's been awful. No, I moved to Edinburgh 4 months ago. I'm new here. I moved up from Portsmouth. So I got up here. I was in some bands in Portsmouth. But I got up here. I put some videos of myself drumming on some of the local music groups, and then I got lots of messages. I had these guys message me. I had another band message me as well, who I've joined as well. So I'm playing in two bands. But I had these guys message me, and at first I was like, I wasn't really that keen. I thought like, but I'll give everything a chance. Do you know what I mean? I thought I'll go see what it's like, and we started playing. Started playing some of our songs. I think one of them was French Bulldog, actually, one of our first practices, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved. We all got on. We all gelled. The music suited my style of drumming. It was fast. It was heavy. Everyone was really happy, and we all instantly after the first practice were up for getting back together again, and we progressed pretty quick. Started gigging. Got some decent recordings. It's good fun. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I think to like follow up on what Dave said, it's like when Fish and I met Dave for the first time, we kind of thought, Dave was the first drummer that we'd actually met, and we had the session, and when we're in the car, we were like, well, that's that.
That's that.
That's that.
As long as he feels the same, then that's that.
Yeah, because it was like when we saw Dave drumming, we were like, we felt like our songs were good, but then with the talent that Dave has and the energy that he has, it just made the songs go from good to what we felt was fucking amazing. To be honest.
Yeah, like when we wrote them, we had them like we've obviously flashed them out on like acoustic guitar. Like I'd gone into Michael's on acoustic bass, and we'd write them almost in the same style as the previous band up in Aberdeen. Yeah. And then once we started putting electrics to it, and then as soon as we met Dave, I kind of thought we had adapted the songs we've written to Dave's style. I just kind of grew arms and legs, and yeah, we love the end product.
It almost feels to me as well that like Dave's style of drumming, and maybe you can develop on this a bit, Dave, but Dave is like a really big drummer. I feel like the sound is really big and it's really loud. And once we started getting a bit of distortion on the guitars and sort of a bit more power behind the vocals, we thought it just seemed like a surprisingly big sound for a free piece, I guess. Which was one of my favorite things about that. No, yeah, I mean, I as I say, I just think I think with writing music as well, I'm kind of more in favor of less members doing more, rather than a bunch like of extra members maybe doing slightly less. Like I almost love the chaos of it when we're playing live and we're trying to do a lot of different things really quickly and really loudly. And I think almost that chaos gives us a kind of a good performance.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's fun. It's lively. It's very good.
So,
it makes me sweat.
Yeah. So obviously, you mentioned about less people doing more. When I came into McCool's a couple of weeks ago, I was in the green room with the band. It's a big green room in it in McCool's.
Oh, that's cozy. It's cozy.
It's a big cupboard. And the first thing it says is, that fucking drummer's shit hot. Andy sings as well. So I mean, I was mega impressed with the singing as well, Dave. How did that come about? And were you happy to sing, or was it reluctantly?
Yeah. No, in bands I was in when I was younger. I've always done backup vocals, harmony vocals. It's something I like doing. I enjoy doing it. It adds a little bit, adds another dimension to the music as well. Just gives it a little bit more professionalism. Yeah, one of the songs I sing in its entirety. I've just started writing songs. Just started writing my own songs. I play guitar as well. I did try over the years to try and write songs, but I could never come up with lyrics. But for some reason recently, I've just been able to start writing lyrics. Usually when I've been drinking wine, and then I fine tune them when I'm. And they've turned out all right, and I'm quite happy with them. So playing the drums and singing is quite a challenge. It's a hard thing to do, but with practice, it just gets easier and easier. And yeah, it gives Mike a break as well. It gives Mike a break. Gives him a bit of freedom to sort of go around the stage a little bit. And yeah, it's good. I like it. It's fun.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because I think that it's nice in the sets to have that chance to actually properly jump around, because I think sometimes when I'm playing guitar and singing, I feel a little bit tied to the microphone, I guess. Like I'm trying to be as big and as energetic and move as much as possible, but when we get to the songs where Dave's singing them in their entirety, I feel like I've got the freedom to really stretch my legs a bit more and run around and be a bit more animated. And yeah, Dave's obviously got the knack for it. Great voice. It's a full cardio experience for him, to the benefit of us all.
It kind of when I seen you live, it took me a good bit to realise that you weren't singing, that the drummer was singing. it kind of hurt my head for a bit. I was like, where's that voice coming from? So, I mean, you haven't been going long. What did you say? August, September last year?
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
got
that's being ambitious. I mean, we started writing around August, September. We only met Dave in
January,
January.
yeah.
Right. So, obviously, where are you now, Dave? Are you in Ireland or something? Is that
Yeah, I'm
correct?
in Ireland at the moment. How did you know that? Did I tell you?
Um, Matthew told me the other week when we were talking, said that you wanted to come on, but you were over in Ireland. So how then does that work then for practice rehearsal and all that with you being away?
Oh, I'm not always away. It's just for now. I live in Edinburgh. I'm just
Right.
away at the moment, just for work. So I'm not always away. We practice on the weekends. We try and get one in a week at least. And if we feel like we need to brush up on a few things, we'll do an extended one. We'll do 4 hours. But I think we all do a lot at home as well. I think we all sit at home. We all rehearse our parts, listen to the songs. That's where you learn the stuff, and that's where you write, and then bring it all together in practice. And it seems to just work smoothly. And also the practices go really they flow well. We're all on the same wavelength. We communicate well. So yeah, it's we can get a lot done in a couple of hours.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Yeah, it works well.
Yeah, it's like we can go away. Like we've couple of times recently, we've kind of had some new ideas for songs. I said, right, this is the idea. Come in. We'll play it to Dave a couple of times just so Dave can kind of get an understanding. Literally within half an hour, if we were to perform that song live after like maybe half an hour playing together, we could probably get away with it. It wouldn't be fantastic, but we could get away with it. And yeah, after like maybe a couple of sessions, like these new songs, they come together very very quick.
I think it kind of feels like everything we've done as a band and the very short time we've been together has been quick as well. Like we've put together the songs really, really quickly. We've got into the studio really quickly. We've booked up a load of gigs. Like we've played in Edinburgh and Glasgow. We're booked in to play Bathgate, Newcastle. We're booked down in London. We've got some other stuff that we're going to try and book around that as well. And I think it's almost like we're all really hungry, I guess. And I think that we all are just genuinely really passionate and just really fucking love playing live. So we're not really treating it so much as we'll just practice and have fun. Like we do take it really seriously, and we want to try and achieve something. And yeah, I think because of that, we're working really quickly.
kind of similar with obviously the band, the High Flats that I'm dealing with. It's you kind of see that opportunity and you kind of want to see how far you can push it. Obviously, you've been going maybe just a couple of months ahead of them. What sort of pitfalls, what sort of kind of trip hazards, stuff like that have you found so far?
Well, I think when we first started, we were kind of was like we want to play live by like the end of March. Was like the goal was like want to play live by like the end of March, and we were kind of like we put out feelers for gigs. Obviously, we're quite lucky. We've played Edinburgh quite a lot before with previous bands. We still kind of knew, we still kind of had contacts. So we were kind of reaching out saying, "Oh, we're a new band, just looking for a couple of gigs," and nobody was coming back to them. We kind of got a bit not disheartened, but we started like
Itchy.
itchy feet. So we're like, right, to hell with it, we're just going to pay for a venue and run our own gig. So we done that. We done that. Jumped the gun a wee bit, and then literally as soon as we booked this venue to do ourselves, we probably got offered about 4 or 5 more gigs.
Yeah, immediately
So
afterwards.
so the gig that was the gig we put on ourselves that was meant to be our first ended up being like our fourth or fifth. So kind of everything happens for a reason, I guess. And it ended up being
Yeah.
a class night. We managed to get a few people that have been to some of the first gigs to come along, so we packed that place out. That was good.
It was actually a good thing as well because that was our first headline gig, and we ended up doing a gig a week for 3 weeks, sort of in the run up to that headline gig to really iron out the creases. Because I think that you can practice, in a practice room as much as you like, and it can be perfect. But when you're live, a lot of that can kind of go out the window. I suppose other things for, I guess, maybe I'm changing the question slightly to what the new bands need to watch out for. I think it's probably just what's really important is communicating with each other. Because I think when you're doing things at speed, you all need to make sure that you're on the same page. And there's been a couple of times where we've maybe miscommunicated with each other, but I think the important thing is we realize that we might have our different opinions about how to go about booking or how to go about setting up merch or things like that. But I think we all at the end of the day realize we all want the same thing, and we find a way to make it work. I suppose there can be no room for holding grudges or anything like that, because we all want the same thing at the end of the day. So I guess communicating really well is the key to any good relationship, I suppose, never mind in a band.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
Something in the Water is out May the 17th. How did that come about? When did you record that? And out of the three songs, why did you pick that one as the kind of lead?
Well, Dave, you sort of took the lead on setting up the recording, so maybe you can kick us off on that one.
Yeah. So I live near a rehearsal studio slash recording studio called Groove Tunnel. Shout out to Rod at Groove Tunnel. I just used to Rob the Marsh. Yeah, he's a legend. I just used to go there practice by myself before I met these guys. Then I got these. I got Matthew and Mike to practice there as well. And he had a recording studio there, so we had a quick look around, decided that we would do it there. And then I have a friend back in Portsmouth who's a sound engineer. I wanted him to be involved in it because I've done some work with him before. He's really good, knows what he's doing, and it'd just be nice to get a friend from back home involved. So he mixed them for us, mastered them for us. He did a great job. Andy McLeod from South Sea Sound down in Portsmouth. He's done a real good job. I'm really happy with the sound. Something in the Water, I think we took that took the lead because it's I think it's the like Rotten Teeth and French Bulldog have got more of like an edge to them than like rawer, faster, harder tracks. Something in the Water's got that catchy chorus, and it gets stuck in your head, and that's what you want at the end of the day. Is something that people are going to listen to and then catch themselves whistling 20 minutes later, and then they want to put it back on. So I think it's got the out of the three, it's the most sort of it's got the potential to be the more successful one.
Yeah, no, I think I totally agree with that. When we kind of sat down and we said, right, we want to record three songs. I think from literally the first time we probably ever played Something in the Water today, like this is always going to be the first release, like the first lead release, and then obviously the other two tracks that we've got probably about an hour's worth of material at the moment. Like, right, pick three tracks. So three we've chosen. So we chose obviously Something in the Water as the lead single, Rotten Teeth in the middle, and then French Bulldog being the third track are probably the three best songs that give the best overall representation of what we're about. I think Something in the Water, the Nirvana influence, grunge influence comes across very strongly within that.
I think I suppose
the riff in that is very, very Nirvana.
When I wrote Something in the Water, I was actually reading not the autobiography, the Kurt Cobain's biography. I think it's Heavier Than Heaven, I think it's called, maybe.
Yeah, I've got that there.
Yeah, and I was reading that, and I was obviously listening to a lot of Nirvana at the time, and I thought the biography was absolutely amazing because it gave a lot of context to how the songs Kurt wrote came about. And when I was reading that book and listening to a lot of Nirvana at the time, I just absolutely loved the idea of just having a distortion pedal, writing a really nice kind of catchy melodic song, and then as soon as you get into the chorus, you're hitting the distortion, the drums are coming in really big and heavy. There's a lot of impact and it's really powerful. And I just love that really simple way of writing a song, like really stripping it back and not trying to overcomplicate it or to write anything overly complicated. Because I think Something in the Water, at its core, it's four chords, but I think it's the energy that's behind it as well. And I think the dynamics are the most important thing with that song, really, because it's like a really soft, kind of catchy sort of verse. And yeah, as the chorus comes in, I think it's the song, probably of all the songs that we've written, that probably has the broadest appeal as well. And I think in that sense, yeah, it's maybe just got a more universality to it.
It's kind of the way it sounds as well. Obviously, seeing it live, a lot of the time when you hear something live and then it's put to record, it sounds completely different. But I think with that, you've captured the essence of it in the recording as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's because it's such a simple song. It's because it's so simple, and the guitar parts are so simple. The drums, it's like there's no, it's not complicated. Like it's like what you see is what you get with that song. Really, it's just a simple song.
And what I really like about it as well is like sometimes that's what music can be. Like music is an expression, of an emotion that you were feeling at a particular moment in time. And I think it just doesn't need to be complicated all the time. Like I think certainly Fish and I have been in bands in the past where there's almost a mentality of we need to write something that's musically really technical in order for it to be impressive. But I almost think that because it's so simple, um, you sort of can recognize the emotion and the sort of the passion that's behind it.
Yeah.
And I think I know I've already mentioned Andy McLeod who mixed and mastered them, but he did an absolute hell of a job of getting us exactly the sound that we wanted on all of the songs, but in particular on Something in the Water. Like it sounds exactly, as I think we all imagined and hoped it would.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's brilliant.
Like before we done the proper recording, we'd done like bedroom recordings on GarageBand with drum tracks and just to kind of get a feel of what everyone was sounding we put together. They can only really capture the entire song once it's been done properly. Like
Yeah.
the best bit about the band I think at the moment is the drums. Like we love Dave's drumming. Dave's drumming is absolutely phenomenal. I think when we put down the tracks as like basic demos, there was always something missing, and then obviously once we brought Dave into the fold, it kind of everything came together
Yeah.
and just sounds massive. And then with the second track on the single release, and Rotten Teeth, that's probably my favorite. There's a lot of pop punk influence in there. Actually, for me, I loved that growing up. That's like for me, I was like 14, 15. Like I loved Blink 182, Green Day, etc. So for me, there's a lot of that in there. It's very fast, power chords, kind of big, catchy chorus. But again, Dave's drumming on that is phenomenal. There's a bit in the breakdown. Yeah, Dave's drums are superb.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's actually no other way you can put it. But yeah, a lot of pop punk influence in that. And then with French Bulldog, the third track, is a bit heavier. You've got the clean guitar in the verse, but then obviously a big heavy distortion, big drums in the chorus, and then obviously you've got the big heavy breakdown as well. Which I think those three tracks properly encapsulate what we're all about. We've got a good mix of Something in the Water, obviously being that kind of grungy, catchy, and we've got the pop punk influence in Rotten Teeth, and then the kind of heavier element, the breakdowns in French Bulldog, and we've got a few more songs similar to those ones, which I thought those two were the best overall representation of what we as a band are about.
I think one of my favorite descriptions of French Bulldog, which is the third song on the single, was that the chorus makes you want to throw your nan down the stairs. I enjoyed that description. It's just proper energy behind it, and I think that's what we're trying to capture with this single. And I think both Rod and Andy have managed to do is they're just
they were both class to work with.
They're just high intensity and they're a lot of energy behind them.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. So that, as I've said, it comes out May the 17th. Your upcoming gigs, so you're playing the Thursday night before that. Is that a single launch then?
Well, we actually booked that before we knew when we were going to bring the single out. We kind of knew we wanted the single to come out on a Friday, and the stars just kind of aligned actually. So we spoke to Home Bar, and we sort of said, this is at the Home Bar in Edinburgh for the Odam Jam. So they showcase a band every Thursday, and then they have a big jam session afterwards, which can involve the band as well, which is always a lot of fun. So it's almost a bit of an unofficial launch, I guess.
It's just coincidentally fallen at that time. So
yeah.
And then obviously you get a wee run of gigs so in June and Edinburgh, Bathgate, and Newcastle, as you mentioned earlier. What's the plans after that? Have you looked any further forward?
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna have like a small kind of break towards the end of July, the start of August, because I'm getting married this year. So I'm gonna have a sort of I've been instructed by my fiance that there's 3 weeks where I'm not allowed to talk to anyone but her and wedding planners, I guess.
That's a nightmare.
It's hard work. It's hard work. But she'll listen to this, so I absolutely love doing it. It's no problem at all. Yeah, beyond that, we've got a gig which is booked down in London. I'll not say where yet because we want to kind of announce that a little later on, but we're looking to after London as well to try and get some gigs down on the south coast. That sort of down Dave's end where he's lived before.
Take advantage of his contacts down there.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe you can speak a bit more about that, Dave.
Yes, we've got a gig in London, which we're really excited for, and then we're going to try and tie that in with a couple more dates. We're thinking Portsmouth, Southampton, perhaps Brighton, Bournemouth. Yeah, we're going to go down 3 nights, 3 gigs, sort of ease ourselves into into the idea of getting out there. It's a little mini tour. It'll be interesting. We'll learn a lot. It'll be a good experience, and hopefully we'll make some new friends and introduce the south of England to the magical world of bad knees.
Taking it further afield like that, how does that feel? Does it feel daunting? Kind of like the prospect of going further?
Exciting. I
Yeah.
can't wait.
I think if Dave wasn't in the band, if Dave wasn't from Portsmouth, if Dave wasn't down that neck of the woods, I don't think we probably would have kind of jumped. I thought, oh, like
we wouldn't have thought, let's go to Portsmouth.
yeah, we would never would have jumped to like, right, let's just we're doing the gig in Newcastle, which would be class. Like on my dad's side of the family, my dad lives in Newcastle. Michael's family's from Newcastle as well, so like that'll be really really good. It's a good Friday night as well. Middle of the Euros, weather will be good, hopefully.
England will be getting pumped.
And
How does that go with the band?
Just bypass the Midlands, like we've just gone Newcastle, straight into London and the south coast. But yeah, I think with Dave's contacts down there, that's what's made that possible. And yeah, obviously we're grateful for that. It's it'll be a good learning curve for us. It'll be a good experience, and yeah, we can't wait. Can't wait.
I think for me, I mean, playing on a stage is the same anywhere for me, really. And I think I've got so much confidence in our set and what we do, and that I'd play anywhere. To me, it's really not daunting at all. Whether it's playing in Scotland on a Thursday night or whether it's down in London on a Saturday, like it doesn't make a difference to me. Like I just absolutely relish the chance to do it.
I think you should smash it. I've had a couple of Southampton bands on the podcast recently, Dave. I had the Manatees, a young band. They just went to South by Southwest, and I had the Dead Freights on just a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah.
Do you know them?
I don't think I've heard of them. No, I don't know Southampton too well.
All right.
But
the Dead Freights. I think the Dead Freights are signed to Gary Powell for the Libertines. I think they're signed to his record label for what they were saying. So they're doing pretty well too, but they seem to get all the Libertines tours because of that connection.
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
Ask him if we can gig with them.
Well, when I had them on, I was telling them about the band that I'm managing, and they've not got a manager. They said could I manage them as well, but they boys are wild. I had no interest in getting near them. I couldn't control them. So that's about us then. Obviously, new single out, and then all these dates coming up, and then obviously looking to get down the South Coast. That all sounds brilliant. The last part of the podcast, as I mentioned at the start, called Time for Heroes. I asked my guests to pick a bunch of heroes to come for dinner. Why they're your heroes, and just to piss you off a wee bit, what would you cook for them as well?
You first, Mike.
You want me to go first? All right. I think for me, I'm going to start with something that's not musical at all, and I would invite Henrik Larsson. I
You
hope
can come back. You can keep coming on that.
I hope and feel like that doesn't really need too much of an explanation, but absolute Celtic legend. So I'd invite Henrik Larsson for sure. I think musically, maybe a little bit more obscure, but I would probably invite Dallas Green. So he was the guitarist in Alexis on Fire, and then he went on to have a really successful solo project, which sort of grew into a band as well called City and Colour. But he was somebody that I listened to an incredible amount when I was maybe more like 13, 14, 15. And I think just because there were such sort of formative years in terms of in terms of the music that I listen to and the music that I like, I would definitely want him there.
What would you cook him?
Well, I've still got some more guests before I think about dietary requirements, I suppose. Uh, I'll maybe just say one more. I'll say three because I'm not sure I could think of a fourth. But for a third, like a historical character, kind of feels like the right way to go. I'm kind of toiling to think of one. I would maybe bring Bismarck. Yeah, because he was the man that unified Germany, which was no easy feat. So I'd be quite curious to see how Dallas Green, Bismarck, and Henrik Larsson would all get on as I cook for them my famous homemade burritos.
Brilliant.
I think my first ever individual musical influence was actually Chris Novoselic from Nirvana. I started playing bass guitar. That was my first instrument. In my first, I played bass guitar, and then I self-taught drums because our drummer left and we couldn't find another drummer, so I taught myself, and here I am. Yeah, so I'd have Chris Novoselic over. Yeah, I don't know what I'd make him. I think he might be vegetarian, so maybe some carrots or something. I don't know. And then secondly, I'll probably invite Thomas the Tank Engine as well. He'd be really food-wise, be really easy. You just feed him coal, and he cooks it himself as well. So it's just like logistically a lot easier than actually inviting a person over. So that's me.
Good choices. Thomas the Tank Engine's never been picked.
I don't think Chris Novoselic would take it to be getting fed coal, but
Feeding coal, he can't complain, can he? Yeah, I'd mind it myself.
for me, I think going along the lines Michael done the first one, if I wasn't to pick Henrik Larsson, I think it'd be a cracking guest at dinner party. It'd be Chris Sutton. Again, he was one of my heroes growing up. I had countless shirts when I was younger. Everyone always had Larsson or somebody in the back. I always had Sutton on the back of my shirts. Met him a few times. Fantastic guy. A good laugh. Some of his stories are absolutely fantastic. I think he'd be superb at a dinner party. In terms of something musical, some I had to go down some like the historical. Obviously, someone's no longer with us. For me, one of my favourite bassists growing up was John Entwistle from the Who.
Right.
The Ox, I think he'd have some fantastic stories. Probably some, I don't know, more less appropriate than others, but I think I think those two would be fantastic at a dinner party. And then a third guest, somebody again would be ideal dinner party guest. I love David Mitchell.
Oh yeah, that's a good choice.
I think TV shows are my favourite TV show of the time. That's my comfort show. The missus hates it when I put it on. She can't stand it. She thinks it's too cringy. But for me, it's just I don't know. It's perfect British sitcom. And again, I feel like dinner party vibes with those three would be immaculate.
Yeah, big shout out to Peep Show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's class.
In terms of cooking, I'm a shite cook. So it would be a curry or there's a cracking pizza shop across the road I'd get in from there.
What's it called?
Big shout out to £2 pizza slice and leaf.
They're doing some advertising today, aren't they?
I know. Yeah, we're hoping to pick up some sponsors off the back of this.
Well, I could maybe steal them for the podcast because it's going out in the podcast. I might get them ahead of you. The last guest I spoke to a lassie today. Actually, I spoke to a Canadian lassie this afternoon, and she done the same. She ordered everything in. She says she couldn't cook, so she ordered in pizzas and stuff like that for her guests. But she worked with Snoop Dogg, so I'm trying to get him on the podcast. But the lassie left the recording before I could ask for him. So fuck knows what's going on there. I don't know how I'll get Snoop on there. But another Celtic fan as well. It's class having a couple of Celtic fans on as well. Just maybe touch on that before we go as well. What do you think for the weekend, and do you think we can hang on and win the league?
Never in doubt. Maybe it was in doubt for a couple of months, but no, I'll be there on Saturday as always. Can't say I'll see much of the game. Depends what time I open that first can in the morning. But no, I think it's in our hands now.
I think after the Hearts performance as well, I feel a lot better about it all of a sudden, and I think I think the other mob are a bit of a train wreck at the minute, so I feel very confident going into it as well.
As long as it's wrapped up before Kelly away, then I can relax.
Well, that's what I'm thinking as well. Obviously, the boys have got this gig on the 15th as well, which is a pain in the arse, so I'm hoping that it's all done before that. I don't get to many games, but I get a guy at work. He gives me season ticket when he can.
Yeah.
So I've been to 2 games this season, and the first one was Hearts in December. Beat. And the other one was Kelly when we do one each. So I've not had good times when I've been this season, but
you better not be there on Saturday.
Don't go.
But I think we'll stroll it. I've not been a big fan of Brendan Rodgers, but I think he's came to the fore the last couple of weeks, hasn't he?
We should never have been in this position in the first place, considering we were 8 and 9 points clear at one point. But I don't know, it's box office Brendan for you, innit?
All's well that ends well.
What about yourself, Dave? Are you into football, or is this completely above your head?
Yeah, it's all above my head because I can't understand your accent. But only joking. Now, football. My family are from Liverpool. Some of them are from Liverpool, so I support Liverpool. But I'm not really massively into it. I do loosely follow it. Yeah, I've been to Anfield a few times, but in the recent years, I haven't followed it as much. But I do still keep an eye out. Yeah. And it's nice when they win because I know my family are happy. So,
yeah. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you tonight. All the best for the single once it comes out. Obviously, I've had the pleasure of listening to it the last week or so. It is a proper earworm, as you say, and I think it will go down a treat once it's out there in the ether for everybody to see or hear.
Thank you.
All the best and all the best with your gigs and all that coming up.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you very much. Thanks for having us on.
Thanks very much. Cheers. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Time for Heroes podcast. If you would like to get in touch, the best way is on the Facebook page, Time for Heroes podcast, or on Instagram at Time for Heroes podcast, or Twitter at Time for Heroes P1, or drop me an email at timeforheroespod@gmail.com. You'll find Time for Heroes on all podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple, Google and Amazon. Please leave a review where you can, share with others, and more importantly, enjoy.